I sent out a one-pager to everybody that you should have gotten about proposed standing committee for the Near East Area Commission. I have a presentation. I know that I think that there's a 2-meeting process usually for new business. Is that correct?
If you, did everybody get a chance? So did everybody get a chance to look at her document?
I saw it.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Yep.
If everybody's read it, then you can just go on and talk about it.
Great. Let me, Jesus, can you give me permission to share, please? The question is, it's not telling me where. Here we go. Let me select my screen, just a second. Okay, let's try it again. I know Teams, I know Zoom, I know Google, but WebEx is not my forte. I apologize. Can you see my screen now?
No. Yes.
Great. Okay, so this for the idea is coming from community discussions. So this is for the Community Engagement Committee. It would be a proposed new standing committee for the Near East Area Commission. So one thing that has kind of come up in numerous conversations is that we live right next to one another, but we're often not communicating. And so the question is, how can we change that? So the idea is, let's talk about it. The idea for this committee, again, has come up from multiple conversations with neighbors who live and work on the Near East Side, and the desire to connect with one another in a meaningful way. So we aren't talking to one another enough, and we need to start. And so this committee will help give us more ways to meaningfully engage with one another and opportunities to serve our communities. So the idea is that this would be a quarterly project. So we would have an entity of 3 activities per quarter, which would be community discussion, volunteer opportunity, and a cultural engagement. And we have a lot of things to talk about, and the pandemic doesn't have to keep us from doing that. We can help raise leaders. We can talk about where we've been. We can talk about where we want to go. We can talk about the things we don't like and the things that we love. We have a community here that respects and values resource sharing, respect for diversity, and building sustainable relationships. So our current committees aren't designed really to fill all the needs, but the needs aren't necessarily going away. So by having a committee to host quarterly events designed to bring people together to learn, to talk, to lead, and to connect. And so this committee would be led by 2 co-chairs and 2 deputy chairs. Each role would be filled by 1 community member and 1 commissioner on a yearly rotation, which at the end of the year, the chairs would rotate off and the deputy chairs would rise up, and then new deputy chairs would be selected by the Community Engagement Committee. And the reason why we want to focus on this is that this ensures that we fulfill our duty to help develop and mentor leaders from our communities. Further, the committee would be comprised of commissioners who volunteer, because I understand we already have the other committees that have requirements in order to be able to get business done that needs to happen for the Near East Side. So this would be comprised of 7 volunteer commissioners who are volunteering to participate in the committee, and an equal number of community members. And this group will act as a steering committee for the activities planned for the year and decisions made by consensus. So we have organic intellectuals in so many subjects in our area, ranging from probate law, sustainable and revolutionary foraging, Halloween costumes, bioinformatics, parenting rowdy children, and making cocktails. Those might go together right now a whole lot. And, to landscape architecture, midwifery, and jazz music. But our neighborhoods are changing and projects are polarizing. And so sometimes the history isn't known and it's in danger of being forgotten. So we need a chance to have open dialogue and ways to be able to see each other's points of views. Because the breakdown of communication is harming our communities and our neighbors. But we can change this. People want to know what's going on with development, but they also want to know how to engage in our local schools. They want to feel safe and they want to be safe. And they want to know about where they're living. And this community engagement committee can help with that. We can have a quarterly community discussion. So often I have seen panel events that bring in quote unquote experts, but they're often people who are not from here. And the panels that I have been to that have been the most meaningful have been from people who are here, who engage here, who live here, and continue to invest here. And so by hosting a community discussion every quarter, we would have presentations from individuals and groups from here. And we can then celebrate, listen, and invest in the knowledge that our neighbors have to teach and to share. And it can be a topic of the committee's choosing for each quarter. Beyond that, neighbors want to help one another. Sometimes there hasn't been a clear path on how or where to get plugged into and how to engage. So the second portion of what would be happening with this group is that they would be selecting an activity that would be a community volunteer activity. And so we would be doing this also once a quarter because then it follows a path. We have something that we are doing as a discussion. We're having something that we can do that we can put some hands on into the community and find where needs are. And this can also lead into people, again, connecting on an ongoing basis because they know that something exists where there's a need. And then the focus is going to be on strengthening connections, again, between members of the community and the groups that are here. So, this can be made, these activities for volunteer projects can be made in conjunction with the established civic associations, and that this will act as a bridge towards meeting a shared goal. Beyond that, the third and very fun activity each quarter would be engaging our minds in local art, culture, writing, music, science, or history. So this quarterly community activity would be an opportunity then for us to engage in the fun things that we do in this community that we're so rich in talent and music and culture. And so the idea would be that we're having, again, another activity where it's, these activities that families can come to, individuals can come to, but then, grow in the knowledge and the connection with one another. So I know that this is a different path and than we may have taken before, but we have the autonomy within our commission to make this decision. And the community is asking for these kinds of connections. They're looking for ways to connect. And as an example of a quarterly activity that could happen, I think I used in your handout would be that if you wanted to focus on the Tuskegee Airmen, you could have a panel discussion about the history of the Tuskegee Airmen in the Hanford Village area. We could coordinate with the Hanford Village Neighborhood Association to do a community cleanup. We could then, that would be the secondary activity. And then the third activity could be an outdoor movie night where we show a movie about the Tuskegee Airmen. And these are all ways where in the past, when these activities have happened, because we have had movie nights over at the Y, we were then able to have local purveyors come and sell food.
Commissioner, I'm sorry, I don't want to stop you, but we have a speaker. So can you wrap this up, please?
Sure. So my ask is that you vote yes for this, and I'm hoping to bring it to a motion to bring this in as a standing committee. And that I think that this could make a significant difference for our community.